really good presenters from 3 of our sites that have connected with their current day modern ag story that's going on in their community with their heritage story. So if you're wondering how they went about doing that, thinking about doing it at your site, tune into that webinar. And then also a week after that one, then Candy will be presenting on the general grant. So those of you that are thinking about turning in an application for our general grant process, that's a very good webinar to tune in, because the application is all online, and Candy will take time to go through how to fill that online application in. So over on, it's on the right-hand side on my screen. Hopefully you see the same thing where you can raise your hand if you have a question, or there is even a place where you can type in a question. I'll try to keep my eye on that and answer your question as they come up. And Carly and Aaron are also helping me and going to wave at me if I miss something, and so we'll get those questions answered. So if you think of something, just raise your hand or type in a question, and we'll try to answer them as we go. So here is, well, this is fun. Isn't it great when technology works? I had, there it is, finally up, outline of what we're going to look at today. We're just going to look a little bit on the background of Iowa Core and Common Core. Those are two terms that, as a naturalist, they were always floating around the schools and with the teachers that I worked with. And so we're going to just differentiate the two in case some of you aren't familiar with those. And then we're going to look specifically at the Science and Social Studies Iowa Core. What I did to prep for this, if you have looked at the Iowa Core on their website, the Science Core part is 72 pages and the Social Studies is 46. That's kind of overwhelming if you've never looked at it and trying to help figure out with your teachers and visitors what you're getting that'll help them, that they're trying to reach in their classrooms. So I kind of condensed that down, and hopefully you had time to download those sheets that I made up for you, because we're going to use those later on and hopefully work together and figure out what I've created here and hopefully how it'll aid you in your program lists. So I have 2 examples that we're going to look at. It's just some sample scenarios of, okay, this is the teacher that's coming to your site. This is what they're hoping to do. What can we do? And then I hope to open it up and have you guys ask me questions, or we'll communicate all together on solutions and what to do. So away we go. So hopefully right now we don't feel like we're trying to herd cats through this process, and hopefully at the end we've mastered this. So beginning, what is the Iowa Core? It's just standards that they are standards that educators help students all reach. And the first difference between the Iowa Core and the Common Core is Iowa Core is doing all the subjects: math, science, language arts, and social studies. Common Core is just looking at language arts and math. So Iowa Core is one step up and above. Like I said, it says on the screen, it is not a curriculum. Curriculum is made by the school districts. And so those of you that work with multiple school districts, you'll have to communicate and talk to those administrators and teachers and see what kind of curriculum are they teaching, what subjects are they looking at, how can you assist and help them in those areas. There at the bottom is the link to find the entire Iowa Core. So you can go and get the math and the language arts portion that I did not print out or look at today. In my experience in visiting some of you, most of what you do falls into the science and social studies aspects, I feel. But if you can even incorporate language arts and math since they are so heavily needed right now. I don't know if you guys realize this, but 1 out of 4 Iowa third graders last year didn't meet the reading expectations. So reading is very important. So if you can incorporate language arts or reading skills when they come to your site, I would think that would encourage even more visitors to your locations. So what the Common Core is some 48 states of governors and education chiefs all got together, and they decided they want to set a common standard so the students in the United States are excelling in language arts and math. And so they made up the Common Core. Around the same time, Iowa was developing the Common Core, or our own Iowa Core. In 2010, the Iowa Board of Education decided to blend with the Common Core, and as they were doing so, they found that our standards were a lot higher than in the Common Core. So the reputation of Iowa still being an education leader still exists today. So I was pretty impressed to see that. So hopefully you're not like this dude and going, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? What is Laura even talking about? This is the time where I need to know a little bit more from you guys. So I'm going to pull up our first polling question. And it is, have you met the administrators of the schools in your area? If you could just click yes or no and submit that, that'll let me know where we're at. The reason why I find this as an important question is if you don't start at the top doesn't know what you're trying to do, they can't encourage the other teachers to seek you out and see how you can help them. You have to be a face that they at least recognize. Okay, we're kind of half and half is what I'm looking at. Okay, only about 93% of you have voted, so we'll give you a couple more seconds to answer this question before we close. Now, some of you probably haven't done it because they are so busy, and you're right, they are very busy. So what I would suggest is send them an email. You can find the administrators on all their websites. Send them an email. Say, introduce yourself. Would you have 5 or 10 minutes for me to tell you what our site is, what we're doing, and leave your program list with them. Don't take any more of their time than that. Just get your foot in the door. So off of that, so if you haven't talked to the administrators, do you have a key teacher that you work with? And there's our second question. Do you have one key teacher that you work with currently? Because in my experience, it only takes one to get excited about what you're doing, and it looks like you guys do too. You know that nothing spreads faster than word of mouth. If you have an excellent experience with one teacher in her classroom of kids, she is going to go back and encourage all of all the other levels to seek you out, hopefully. So find that one teacher. It might not even be a teacher. You could do a parent. You might have a family of kids that have been coming to your programs, or families that are regular attendees to your evening programs or weekend programs. If you can get them excited about what programs and what possibilities that their kids could also get in the classroom during school, that is another way to get students and other visitors to your facility. So great, I'm glad to see you guys have that one teacher anyway. Just a couple more questions, and these will help into where we lead with the rest of this afternoon. Do you have a list programs available at your site right now. Let me see if I can get that up and going. There you go. And what I mean by that, if you're not actively going into the classroom program, but more of a site where you have field trips coming to you, do you have a description of what they're going to experience on their field trip? The reason why I asked that question is just to know where we're at, how much in depth we need to go into the Iowa Core, and figuring out where you fit in. Okay, very good. 75% of you have a program list. That is fantastic. And my little icon up here is another thing to try to get into is the school newsletters. Have the classes that have been to your site, have them feature or their experience in their class, from their class at your site. That way, if something would happen like we're seeing with the budget cuts and kids not being able to go to your sites, if one sibling went and another one doesn't get to go, there's a big push between parents to make it happen that their other children have the same experience as their older ones. So just keep that in mind also. Okay, so hopefully you have a sheet of a printout that I created in front of you. At the top, I kind of just did a general outline at the top with either science or social studies at the top, and then the grade level is over to the right. The Common Core is divided into age groups or grade groups. There's K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and also a 9 through 12. By looking and talking to a few of the sites, those seem to be the core area that the students' age groups. If you have older, fantastic. But I didn't think talking today on that age group would be pertinent to everybody. So please know that you can go to the Iowa Core website and get the concepts and skills for 9 through 12. Those are also on there. Social studies, as you can see, is broken down into 5 different areas, and they are behavioral sciences. And what that is the sociology, anthropology, and psychology part of social studies. And then the economics, geography, history, and political science. And when I saw that, I was like, oh goodness, we're talking about political science to kindergartners and second graders. And they do hit a little bit on it, but it isn't very in-depth as we see when we look at the sheets here in a little bit. The science is just broken down into 3 main areas, and they make very good sense if you remember from your days in going through grade school. They're broken down into earth and space, physical science, and then life science. So let's look at the sheet. This is what I have created. When I took the Iowa Core, you have to keep the same words. You can't change them, so I have it, and so I give all credit to Iowa Core on this. Over on the left-hand side, this is what the teachers know. And on the screen you can see it says SS. Hopefully you can guess that means it's social studies. The next portion is the grade that we're dealing with, the K through 2nd. And this is for economics, is the very top one. The E is for economics. If you go down, you'll see we're actually in geography. So instead of an E up at the top section, we've switched to a G since we're talking about geography. And then the 1 is just that particular skill or concept. So SS K through 2 geography concept and skill 1 is understand the use of geographic tools and analyze information about people, places, and environments. If you read across, then here's examples of what fits into that concept and skill. So if at your site you are having your kids on the field trip use maps or globes, or they look at a timeline, you can write into your program that the students that come for a field trip will get SSK through 2 G.1. Now, if you're making a cumulative program, if you're just talking to a second grade teacher, you can just say, I can meet geography skill concept 1 in that area. They will know. You don't need to go through the SSK through 2 portion of everything. So hopefully that makes a little more sense. The reason why I broke it down into this area is when you read it, it's a lot of reading, just like you were reading a book. To me, to organize things and you knowing your program and what you talk about, I thought it would be easier if you guys could just go through the definition list and say, yeah, we cover that, we cover that, and you can go over to the left and refer to the skill or concept number. But I also wanted to include different examples to help you maybe expand your programming. What I've found is different teachers, since they've made up their own different curriculums, are going to be covering different things. So one school that comes to your facility from one certain school district may be covering something completely different in the same grade level at a different school district. So this allows you to expand your program and not have for a lack of better terminology, a canned program, because you're designing it exactly for that group that's coming to your facility. So that will make it more interesting for you and for the teachers, are my feelings. So if you have any questions, just drop them right in that box right now if you have any. Hopefully this makes a little bit of sense to you why I did this. Okay. So if anyone knows my background, I come from Floyd County. I was the naturalist up there for 14 years, 15 years. So at the Fossil and Prairie Center was our main goal, and for many of you that know, they are known for their fossils. So when everybody came, they wanted to see the fossils, and yeah, we'll do a little of the prairie. And so we always had to encourage them to say, hey, let's do a little bit of history about the Rockford Brick and Tile Company, how that site is a partner site of silos and smokestacks. So this is our first example or scenario. So this is our location. This is where the field trip is going to be taken. You're going to have a group of 4th graders. And the teacher, when she set this up, she wants to discover the habitats, the fossils, and the changing landscapes. That's what they're discussing in the classroom. So what can you do, since you have that sheet? Hopefully you've printed out let's start with the science core grades 3 through 5. So if you can pull that out, let's see what areas automatically right away capture your attention that they can reach by coming to your facility and not just learning about it in the classroom. Well, on the front page, hopefully you see immediately Earth and Space Concept 3. The first word, for example, is fossils. So that is definitely one skill and concept that we can reach by having them reach by coming to have a field trip. Another thing that you could talk about but may not realize if you're not familiar with the site is you can also talk about erosion. The quarry area where everybody goes fossil hunting, when they were mining for the clay for the brick and tile company, they were vertically up and down the side walls. There would be no way you could get down into the quarry like you can now. So you can explain erosion and weathering. So that was another skill set that I put up there off of Science 2. Now you can also see we have some life science skills that we could also meet. Life Science Skill 1 and Life Skill Science 2, which would go into the habitat aspects that the teacher is wanting to get, and then how organisms relate to their environments, and then also you can expand into stewardship. So it all depends on how creative you want to go and how much you want to talk about or how much time they have at your site. One example, this is a real life example I wish I would have expanded. We started this with science and social studies, and they used to come in the spring and the fall for a field trip, or fall and spring for a field trip. And they got cut down to one. And I said, that's no problem. If we can get either a half day or a full day field trip, we can cover everything in one trip. And the teachers were just amazed that we could fit science, math, and social studies and reading into one entire field trip. And I did that by showing them on a chart similar to this that this is what you're going to get. So when the teachers went to the administrator and said, here's what we can do on this field trip all day and save us just to one trip and one fuel cost, one bus driver cost, they were easily able to get that through. Okay, here's the second example. Carrie Lane Chapman Cat had me up there to help with their summer camp this year. And so when I was putting this program together, I thought, well, I wonder how many groups they have or what we could talk about here. And I thought they would be a good example for an older grade level of students, but also look at the impact on social studies more than science. Hopefully you're familiar with Carrie Lane Chapman Cat and how she was in on the suffrage movement. I'm sorry for I paused. I just realized we've got a couple questions, so let me see if I can get them. We did not receive the printouts. Can you send them? You bet. I can sure send them, or if you want to go right now on the Silos and Smokestacks website. Oh, never mind. Erin took care of you. Sorry, but for the rest of you, if you want, the link is on our website under the partner resources, and also on the website information about the webinars. You can find those there. How will Iowa Corps change when the best practices of the next generation science standards are adopted by the state? If next generation science standards is not adopted as a whole, pieces of it will be because they are becoming the best practices in science and education. You're exactly right. So that is something that we are going to have to watch for as educators, is what they end up doing. Are they going to totally go with the next generation science standards, or are they going to combine them kind of like they did with Iowa Corps and the Common Core? Are they going to keep some of ours and pull some of theirs into it? So that's something that we're going to have to watch for. Another topic that I know is key to this is STEM. which is the next generation science standards also. I thought that was too big of a topic not to have in person, so we can have more dialect and conversation amongst all the attendees. So that's why I didn't put that in here. So hopefully right now this can serve your needs for this spring. And if, as we learn what Iowa does for what they take for the next generation science standards, we can have another webinar like this or a workshop where we can talk about that. Next question is, how would you recommend using Iowa Core to become part of a school curriculum as opposed to being viewed simply as a field trip? That is an excellent question. What I would do personally is to get the build those relationships between the school. And I see this as someone from a very large facility, and so they automatically just sign up and say we're coming. I would send out a communication to them saying, by having this field trip, you are going to be receiving these course concepts and skills. Encourage them to communicate more with you instead of saying, hey, we're coming for more or less an enjoyable trip and get a little science and social studies in there. Have them become an active, involved part of the entire experience instead of just coming in and saying, here are my kids, teach them for the day. Have them have some ownership in that. Hopefully that answers your question. Another great question. Are teachers always required to show how field trips fit into the Iowa Core? Or is it showing how it fits into the Iowa Core just helpful for getting the field trip approved? And it is yes to the second part of the question is it's just helping them prove that it's worth their time and worth the school district dollars to be spent to take a field trip to your site. The first part of the questions, are the teachers required to? It depends on the school district. Some, and the administrators, some said, yep, you need to show it. Others, it's just more or less has been a tradition for a certain grade level. Yep, it's this year to go. So I would always like to be proactive. Show that that tradition should continue, and this is why, because you are meeting these core skills and concepts by having them come. Don't let it be just let them throw it away because it's, oh, we've been there, done that. Show them that it is worthwhile. So I think that's the rest of the questions. Excellent questions, everybody. Keep them coming if I haven't answered them or if one hasn't shown up. So Kerry Lane in my hometown region again. So we're going to look at that. So hopefully you have the skill set on social studies grades 6 through 8, because I did part of it for you. I did the social studies part, what they can match, and hopefully you printed out the science part and we can work together and see which ones they meet, because that's your next polling question. So quick, pull it out and look. And hopefully, there we go. So the scenario is 6th graders. The teachers want to discover early Iowa settlement, and they're also studying voting and women's suffrage rights. So here are the social studies. Look at all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 skills and concepts they can reach by just a field trip on those 3 or 2 subjects. I'm going to throw it to you. What science concepts do you think are there? And it's a multiple choice question, and for some reason, all right. So right now, I'll give you a few minutes to let you guys look. I can't tell how many have voted. But so far, well, that's okay. Aaron told me he jumped the gun, but that's okay. So the scenario, if you guys need that again, they're wanting to come to learn about early Iowa history and women's suffrage movements. And it's a classroom of 6th graders. So when you pull out your sheets for the science core for grades 6 through 8, since that's the grade level we're looking at, what skill or concepts can we say they can reach by coming there? Right now, for those that like to cheat off other people's papers, so far in the lead, ooh, we're jumping around. So far in the lead it says science and life science skill concept number 4. Interdependency of organisms, changes in environmental conditions, and survival of individuals and species, the cycling of matter and energy in ecosystems. Maybe I should give you a more of a description of the landscape at Carrie Lane Chapman Cat. So what they have is a nature center, or not a center, a visitor center with exhibits on early Iowa history in there, with a table, an interactive table where they can learn more about Carrie Lane Chapman Cat, what the area looked like at the time when Carrie lived there as a girl. There's also a barn. The family had an extensive apple orchard, and so the volunteers and staff at Carrie Lane have recreated and planted an apple orchard, and then part of the grounds is replanted into prairie, so they have a little prairie trail too. So that might help the descriptions of what we could possibly teach there. So still in the lead is life science skill number 4, and second is physical science number 3, motion and forces. I wish we could all talk to one another and think of all the creative ideas that are coming up with us. And 14% with skill 2. Well, I don't know if there's any wrong answer or right answer, because it's how creative you want to be when you take a field trip and what you want to teach your students. But when I first looked at it and I went through the lines, I was like, there aren't any. There aren't any. But as you dig a little deeper, I agree with those that say life science number 4, especially when you go out into the prairie or out into the apple orchard. You can talk about those things. But I am not going to say those of you that said earth and space number 2 is wrong, or physical science number 3 is wrong. I'm not going to say that because I don't know your thoughts, and they might be just absolutely fantastic, something that I haven't even thought of or wouldn't have thought of without talking to everybody. So that was just a little activity to get you familiar and kind of comfortable with using these sheets that I created to hopefully help you with your program. So I'm going to turn it away and ask if any of you have any more questions. Let's see. Whoa. All right, I don't see anything. Any questions coming up? Diana, do you have a question?
I want you to repeat, how can you get the teachers to have more ownership?
To have more ownership in the field trip when they come?
Yes.
Give me your scenario. Do they just call you up and say we're coming?
Yes, and then when they come, what I would like for them to do is be prepared to also, when they go back, to really piggyback on some of the things I've discussed.
Right.
Or, you know, that's what how would I like to do.
Okay. Thanks for your question. How I would handle that, Diana, and to get them more involved into it is have a conversation with those teachers prior to. See what they're hoping to get out of that field trip. And then either provide them with, if your budget allows, after the visit activity for them to do at school, and ask them to share it back with you so you can get feedback from them to know how to improve their experience for the next time they come. I've always found it successful. If you're giving something to them, ask for it back and ask them, because you're hoping to make things better or make sure that you're meeting what they want when they come visit there. People always like to help each other. Okay. For some reason, I can't see the questions in my question tab anymore. Aaron. Okay. This is going to skip at me. I only find part of your question, Jordan. I only have part. Okay. Trying to get Jordan's entire message, but it's not coming through, so I apologize. Jordan, I see that you're seeing some of it. Okay. We finally got them up. All right, just so you guys know, I'm technically challenged. So hopefully that made you all laugh that I'm trying to do a webinar and technically challenged. So see, you too can do this. Should give you hope if you're scared. Okay, here's one. State and federal standards have changed so often over the past 15 years that it is very difficult for teachers. Yes, it is. How I've kind of overcome that is if you can get them to view you as you're up on top of it, or at least as close as they are, they're going to keep using you and keep saying, okay, yep, I believe you. is it really worth our time to realign the standards each time they change if the teachers are not realigning their own curriculum? I would say so. And it all depends on, you can look at it two ways for this question. If you are happy with the numbers that you're bringing in for programs and field trips, and you cannot possibly handle anymore, don't go to the extra work. Don't update them every year. If you're looking for an increase, I would definitely take the time to do these. Maybe don't go the whole grade levels that you all see. Work with your core groups, and then as the need rises for those, add those in as you see fit. Okay, Jordan, I finally have your question up. Looking at Life Science 6 through 8, Life Science 6, I could definitely apply that concept to our site, but for an animal, not for the human body. Could that work? I would say yes, it would work, because then they can look for commonalities between the livestock at your operation to the human body. Study the things that are the same and the things that are the different. For example, the digestive system of a cow is very different than ours, but it gets that discussion going and puts it in a new light that every mammal that has to digest their food. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Looking back here through them. And please, everybody, if you are still feel like you're herding cats, send me what you do on your field trip or what you would like to do or a program that you do. I'd be happy to help you out with this. And look at there. Okay, I don't see any more. So what I'm going to leave you with, if I can get these gone, is to hopefully go out and build some relationships with your administrator and teachers. Like I said, with an administrator, just say, you just need 5 to 10 minutes of your time. Don't take any more than you need it. Let them seek you out after you make that first initial contact. Remember that they won't come unless they know what you have and what you can do. And we all know how busy teachers are, everything that they have to do. Try to help them out. Like I said earlier, if with the survey type thing to get feedback from them, have it as they're helping us, have them view this is me helping you validate your field trip to our site so you can still keep coming, so there's some value in it to the administrators. Yes, it's going to take you some time and some work, but hopefully you'll find it worthwhile, and you'll see either an increase or in your visitation numbers, or you're doing more with the teachers that are currently coming to your site, so that they're excited to come every year. And like I said, I'm here to help. There is my contact information down at the bottom, and I see I can't even type a phone number in correctly. You know where that's supposed to be. It's the right numbers. Just write down the numbers. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. Have a great afternoon. We finished 10 minutes early, so if you're done at 4, you can bug out early. I won't tell. hope to see you signed up for the next webinar on the 25th. I'm looking forward to listening in on that one. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.